Hello guys, so today we're gonna teach you how to play Terrorblade, featuring our special guest star here, Cabbage Monster. Yeah. So basically, before we get into like the builds and everything, I just wanna cover some items. Right? You can see my stream. Okay, good. Sorry, not items. Like some basic skills about Terrorblade and just stuff you need to know, right? So reflection is the new hotness right now. Usually you take it to like help you get a kill, especially in conjunction with your metamorphosis. Right? It's just basically the early game. It's a slow. The only thing you really need to keep in mind is that it does maintain passives. So stuff like Venom's poisonous sting, I think that's the name of the passive E, or an orb of venom. Those things get applied by the illusion back to them. So that's like when it's particularly good. Obviously, I think the biggest counters against AM is Mana Break. If the AM is not paying attention and just skills Mana Break before the lane even starts, he's fucked himself really hard. He's gonna run out of mana at level 1. Okay. So besides that, what else do we need to know? This Conjure Image, if you want to farm, especially if you want to jungle, this is the spell you want maxed as soon as possible. I would say jungling efficient. Excuse me. I would say jungling efficiently requires at least level 2 in Conjure Image, preferably 3. And then at least Gloves of Haste and a Band of Elven Skin, like 2/3 of your treads. Preferably treads. Once you get to the treads and like 3 levels of Conjure Image, you can jungle just about as quickly as you can lane. And so the only time you would really want to lane is to just get a little more efficiency in farming lane and then jungling, or just to defend your lane because because the enemy heroes are pressuring your tower and you don't want your tower to die. But generally, if you can, or if you feel like you're in danger, you can just fuck off into the jungle at about that point. You're not gonna lose any farm, and it's quite good because you usually leave your support to get the creeps and the XP. And yeah, he can catch up in his own farm, just sapping XP and defending his tower. In the meantime, you get full, you get the safety of the jungle, and you do get your you do get as good farm there. Meta.
So that's level. What level in Conjure Image was
At
that?
least level 2, um, preferably level 3. But sometimes you get kicked out of lane at level 4, so you don't have a choice. Okay.
Okay.
Meta, what it means for Terrorblade is I always call this his ultimate, and I think because it basically is. It's by far his strongest spell and also the longest cooldown. Yeah, it's the longest cooldown. So yeah, basically it turns you ranged. It increases your base damage, which means it will also increase the damage of your illusions. Yeah? And yeah, that's basically it really. It just increases your range. So even in just like level 1 meta, you get bonus 15 damage, which doesn't sound like a lot, but basically it turns Terrorblade from like with stat items like 60 damage into like a 75 damage range here, which is pretty insane. And you have like 9 armor at the start of the game, so it's basically impossible to get into a right click trade with you. As a Terrorblade, first thing you want to do, level 1, save your meta for the lane. Pop it only when you're about to secure the first last hit, so it looks something like this. So you want to maximize the duration you have on your meta. And another important skill that a lot of Terrorblades neglect is that you take Terrorblade and you practice last hit with him, even in something like this, as a ranged form, because as a Terrorblade, you basically live and die by doing a lot with your first and second metamorphosis. If you're able to zone them out, you're able to get your farm basically uncontested, then you're good. If you miss most of the last hits, you don't zone them out at all, or worse, you die during your meta. Like basically that means your lane is over. Right? If you're able to get 2 good metas, you're probably doing okay in lane, if not straight up winning. Right? So those are the things to consider.
When you pop your meta, are you're not pushing the lane, you're just using it to secure denies and last hits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially the first meta. Second meta, you could use it as like a jumping off point to push the lane faster, and then you go jungle with your meta. But you don't. Yeah, you do, the first meta is mostly like zoning them out in
Yeah.
between, and like and then afterwards just getting all of this last hits, getting all of the denies. If you can get like all or almost all last hits and denies in the duration of your meta, I'd say you'd win most of your Terrorblade games off of that. Then of course the harassment comes in, but that comes later. Another cool skill with Terrorblade, at least that I like to do, is typically your conjure image isn't actually that useful in lane, right? Because usually your conjure image, like they have a nuke for it, and then they die too quickly because your HP is already squishy, and your illusions are even more so. So what I usually like conjure image for is, let's say the creeps get shoved under tower. So if it's under here, I like to use conjure image, either tank the creeps outside of tower and just run it around like this, or if it's under tower, I basically just use the conjure image as like extra damage, where I'm just microing both. I have a hotkey to select all units, including the hero, and then I just micro them around, and then I use it as basically extra damage. In some lanes, against certain heroes, they don't have AoE nukes, and so you could do this not just under tower, but generally just do it like this, and then use it to increase your base damage, right? So your illusion does what? 21 damage. So I mean 21 plus 89, right? But yeah, basically it does significant. I would say like 20 damage, 15, 20 damage, which is a significant buff if you're actually able to last hit properly. So basically you just micro them together, press S, and then attack the creep when it's so like good Terrorblade players, if they're not, if their illusions don't get destroyed, you will also use your conjure image to deny a crap ton of creeps. So that one wasn't really possible to deny. I would say that just about sums it up. Now Sunder, it's something you can, I mean it's kind of simple in how it's used really. Like there are two main uses of it. Like the standard use is to sunder an opponent that's like the standard use is to sunder an opponent that's near you and takes a lot of sunder him, and then you can maybe turn the fight or at the very least run away, obviously. So that's the standard use of sunder. Other things you can do is just know that if you get your illusion low, if you get low, and it doesn't even matter, you don't have to do that, but let's say you're low, you can also sunder the illusion. So this is something useful against like certain heroes with BKBs, right? So if this guy had a BKB or a Lincoln's and I knew I couldn't sunder him, then I could consider sundering my own illusion. That's preferable. There was also another trick that I think was easy that showed off, where especially if you have a satanic. Basically, if you have a satanic, you can sunder and you give the satanic. So basically, you give your teammate up. But this is a very risky trick. I honestly don't recommend this because. Yeah, like if you screw up and you don't realize that you have a stun, there's a possibility that you kill yourself there. But that is technically another trick you can do as well. You can also use your sunder while you're farming jungle. So like, if you have, if you're low HP, and then your teammate happens to be walking by, especially if you have tranquil boots. Just tell them, come here, I'll give you something. And give them a big old kiss like that, and you can get back to farming with full HP. So yeah, that just about sums up Terrorblade as a hero. I mean, like his concepts are like, the thing about Terrorblade is you don't really outplay people so much. Like you can do some thunder outplays maybe, but a lot of what makes Terrorblade strong and scary is that it's not that you can win a fight that you have a massive net worth disadvantage in and that has bad positioning, but it's that you can create a massive net worth lead, right? You become basically this unassailable tank. So like, let's see, it's just a dragon lance, and that you can deny a massive area for you. So basically, when you have meta up like this, and then you hover over your attack range, and nobody can just walk in here casually because they're going to get destroyed, like damage wise. I guess I have to get more items first. Yeah, like they're just gonna get destroyed damage wise, and they just cannot stand here casually, right? And so that's the strength of Terrorblade. Another one is that he's a really good pusher, just because of the amount of damage he does, the amount of attack speed he has. Third strength of Terrorblade is that he is a high armor hero. So there's certain heroes you can counter pretty decently, like Beastmaster would be one, and you'd be okay against the Bristleback, just because Bristleback can't really hurt you nearly as much as other carries. But again, Bristle is still a strong laner, so eventually you'll get kicked out. But again, Terrorblade, it's fine, you get kicked out. Yeah, but the biggest strength Terrorblade, just being able to farm really effectively, and when you get a lot to farm, then you can just stomp fight after fight. If you're looking to outplay heroes on a regular basis, this is not the character for you. Like most of the time, what you're gonna be doing, I'll be showing you the replay later, is just farming really efficiently, not dying, and then choosing good fights choosing good fights to take, and then like winning those fights, and then eventually picking towers off of it. Are there any questions about that so far? Cabbage?
You said you can sort of man-fight most heroes. Is there like item timing you're looking for? Because like AM, it's like Manta, Basher. What's the TB item timing?
Okay, so when I say he can man-fight most heroes, I mean he can man-fight most heroes. Like, at relatively even items. So what I'm not thinking about is what item do I need to man fight other heroes, because that's what we don't capture. It's more like, what do I need to survive from all of the other crap they're gonna throw at me? Like, am I worried about an RP? Am I worried about the puck ult, right? Am I worried about the Mars arena? All that shit is what concerns me. I don't care how many items I have, and that's not what determines if I can man fight Ursa or AM, because I'm gonna win unless I'm really far behind. So yeah, more like what do I need to do to survive so I can hit things? Because if I can hit things, chances are they can't win. The only real exceptions are PL and to a much lesser degree Naga. Those guys have more. Like the problem with Terrorblade is he's a purely single target damage hero, right? Like when he turns meta, you can't get a Battle Fury, you can't get a Maelstrom. Well, you can get a Maelstrom, but like it's just like any other ranged hero's Maelstrom. Your illusions don't benefit from anything but the attack speed. So Terrorblade is really a single target hero. So it's kind of weird. He's an illusion hero, but single target. But so he can get overrun by other illusion heroes. That he can get overrun by other illusion heroes that have multi-target spells. Not multi-target. That have spells that allow them to be multiple targets. So PL, CK, Naga, he doesn't particularly do well against. PL, I would say, is probably the hardest counter Terrorblade. I just really don't like playing that matchup. Like, you have to play it really smart. Though I think Cabbage, you saw that one game where we did it. But yeah, again,
Yeah, but you made it look easy.
Yeah, but we can't really talk about edge cases, and in that game, I had to be significantly ahead of the PL in farm. So generally, yeah,
Yeah.
PL probably one of the biggest ones. Leshrac also another one. Basically, you don't want to pick him into heavy magic damage, right? Because if you do, you're gonna get destroyed. Let's just pick a Terrorblade game recently. Uh, but this is a perfect Terrorblade game. I don't know if I'm. Who was I against here? Brewmaster. Actually, yeah, this works because I can show you the laning stage, especially. Um, but yeah, this like if a Terrorblade is one of those heroes that is engineered to like never die if you play it properly and you have a good game. Uh, it is like there's a very fine line where if you have a too little farm or you're a bit too out of position, you just get blown up instantly, and then if you get past that point, like you can actually just solo the entire enemy team, or to them it feels like they can't kill you ever. So those are like the two modes of Terrorblade.
Do you play him similar to like Drow?
Um, Not really, because Drow can. The difference with Drow is that she's able to actually fight significantly earlier. I honestly forgot. So yeah, the difference is that with Drow, you can't you have no cooldowns to speak of, right? And Drow can does a lot of damage, but she's also it's not as overwhelming as Terrorblade's damage can be. Like you notice Terrorblade's attack animation is actually kind of slow. Like his attacks projectile is actually really slow, but that can be an advantage because like suddenly you throw with your extreme range and the slow movement of your attack projectile, you can get like 2 or 3 hits like coming at the opponent, and they're thinking, oh, they're still fine, and then suddenly 1 second later they get crit to death or something. So yeah, Drow is a lot more steady in her damage output than Drow is a lot more steady in her damage output than Terrorblade ever will be.
This should be interesting.
Terrorblade, especially with the Crystallis, you can do quite a bit. So Terrorblade in rune fights, you're not actually that useful, honestly, because you want to save your meta for the lane. I will say I would never use meta unless I think I can get 2 or 3 kills in their bounty rune fight. It's just not worth it. Yeah, I just help out if I can, but if I can't, then I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna ruin my lane for it. Okay. So let's start here. Right? Player perspective, Terrorblade. So yeah, Banana throws him back for me. So I do take. You see how much damage he takes. He loses more than half his HP. So that would like satisfy my requirement that to win the Terrorblade game, you have to get good health. So we already salves, right? Cost him 110 gold. Denying, last hitting it, all of these things. Honestly, I wasn't doing it that well this game, but yeah, it's very important. So notice the positioning. Like normally as a carry you play very scared, but as a Terrorblade with Meta, you can actually stand in front of the creep wave because most people can't trade with you. And even if you're tanking creeps, you still have like a crap ton of armor, so it's not that important. Okay, so let's just check like the difference here. So the first meta, I was able to force Brewmaster to salve up, right? He's already lost a third of his health again. I have 3 last hits, 3 denies, he's got 0. This is what I mean by getting a convincing meta. If you get meta and all you do is get the same last hits and denies as the opponent, you're screwed. Because meta has a long cooldown and that means you're not going to be that strong for a while still. Yeah. Get your last hits if you can, deny what you can. Terrorblade has a pretty nice attack animation and everything. That was really good about crossing with that. But there, without meta, you're significantly weaker. Brewmaster might have like, almost died, if not died again there, if meta were off, but obviously for balance reasons, it has a cooldown, and it's not very nice. So typically in Terrorblade, I would just rush treads. Like I would say Terrorblade especially, there aren't very many situations where you would ever care for Wraith Bands because like, it just gives you more of what you already do, which is like have armor, have high agi, and attack speed. So like it feels really redundant. Treads is really nice because it's a farming item, it's a fighting item, and then it gives you that efficiency in tread swapping. So again, let's look at the meta usage here, right? Try to walk up to them a little closely, so you can get a lot of damage off. So look at this, they're both very low, we get a kill. This Brewmaster gets zoned out of lane completely. We get all of the CS, right? And then we even take some damage to the tower. This is like another example of like a good meta usage. This is why we're winning the lane right now. Like all of that strength came from that level 1 and that level 1 play where we were able to chunk down that Brewmaster and secure a lot of CS. So the Brewmaster, what items does he have? He has boots, no regen, right? I have my full treads coming if I'm not mistaken. And I still have a decent amount of regen. And so that's the difference that a good meta can make. If you don't make these good meta plays, you're gonna really lose your lane. Even though I did win my lane, if you'll notice, I'm going to be leaving. Like, since he's so far behind me, I don't really care about him. And I just concern myself with getting on top. So I shove the lane, jungle. Right, summon more illusions, shove the lane, jungle. So, yeah. Try to keep your illusions alive. They do a significant amount, like 35 damage now. It's pretty, it's really helpful in shoving out the illusions. So again, shove the lane. Terrorblade comes with few heroes that can really shove lanes with nothing but his right clicks. So this early on. Yeah, use that, and use that, and right there. You notice, I think I've set like 3 or 4 clarities already. Just because Terrorblade's a very mana-hungry hero. Even with tread switching. If you don't tread switch, you're not gonna get nearly this efficiency, but he's still okay. Even if you don't tread switch, like, you're gonna spend a bit more in clarities, you're gonna get slightly lower GPM, but you know, if you're not confident in tread switch, you don't have to discourage yourself from picking it up. For items in Terrorblade, Eagles, really the best ones possessed mask by far. Ironwood 3 is okay because you get stats. Ocean Heart's okay because you get stats. And Chip Vest is okay because you can get heal and some sustain in the jungle. Every other item is kind of underwhelming, honestly. You know, it really depends on what you're lucky to get. So again, you know, this was farming pattern, shove the lane, and then jungle. People always ask me like, how do I get like 80, 90, or 100 CS in 10 minutes? And this is how. You have a good lane. I provided myself as ammunition to this Terrorblade, up to this tiny, so I can kill him. But yeah, I was saying, how you get a lot of CS is just jungling, pushing and then jungling. So the stacks made by this copper are honestly ridiculous. Like, I don't know who in God's green earth could possibly take these stacks. But it certainly wasn't me, and it wasn't me this early, so I kinda gave up. Like, after meta's done, I just stopped hitting it, because it's not gonna work, you're gonna lose the material. It's not out like that. This is ridiculous, yeah. But 100 CS in like 10 minutes. That's how you do it. It's just shoving and not missing lane CS early. It's important.
ParAdise. What rank is this game? Mortal? Okay.
Yes. Because I was playing with friends, but yeah.
Okay.
This is my main account, so we are against I don't remember who it was this game, but so there again, I don't know if you caught that, but there's a bit it's quite nice. Just staying yourself out. They have trample boots in particular. And then this is basically gonna be like this is what I want to show you is like basically this is the farming rotation of it. You stay in your triangle for the most part, and then you send your illusions to lane.
Dire's top tower
Then you back
is
out.
under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is
So
Dire's
in this case, you take a tower because we kill 2 heroes. But generally, you will just stay in the triangle that you're in.
How are you doing otherwise?
Trying to take this massive ridiculous stack. Eventually, man, it takes a while. But yeah. As a Terrorblade, you don't really want to join fights without meta. Like,
Dire's bottom tower
what
is
you
under
can do
siege.
though is what you can do as a Terrorblade is, which I don't think people do enough, is that
Dire's
you can
bottom
micro
tower
your
is under
illusions
siege.
to farm like one camp on the enemy side. Jungle. It's really good because it gives you a camp, obviously for fun, but it also takes one away from your opponents,
Under siege.
right? And it gives your teammates
Radiant's
or
top
you
tower
yourself
is under
one
attack.
extra safe camp to farm later. So this is something you can really exploit as a Terrorblade. If you're able to farm the opponent's camps with your illusions, then there's not, you know, you just get a lot more farm and net worth difference between them. So again, generally you will want to send your illusions to push, and you just continue on jungle. Send your illusions to the dangerous parts of the map, and you get yourself the fuck out. Like, see, they're around top lane here. So I was like, okay, get my illusion out, get myself out. Just focus on that. Terrorblade is a hero that, by the way, I particularly like against AA. Just because of how it plays out. Like, it doesn't really scream counter, but what's nice about AA is that like they can stop you from healing, but they can't stop you from sundering. So the HP swap will still work through AA ult, and Terrorblade naturally likes building Sanj and Yasha, which is really good against AA. And Dragonlance and your meta, there's a good chance you won't even get hit by the ult because of how far you are, especially once you get your metamorphosis attack right. But that comes much later. Items for Terrorblade, there at the start of the game there are two choices really, Yasha or Dragonlance. So when you go Yasha would be if you just want to farm jungle faster, more efficiently, and Dragonlance is if you want to use, like, your team is doing well and you want to use your early metas to push towers, or your team is doing really bad and you really need to take at least one tower. But yeah, Dragonlance for taking towers, Yasha for farming. I think generally you end up getting both. I really like Dragonlance on Terrorblade. It gives you tankiness, agi, and attack range. So it's definitely worth it, especially for the cost. So yeah, back to it. After SNY, usually SNY, you can get Manta if there's something you need to dispel. Usually silences or important roots. But generally I like SNY better in Terrorblade. He is an illusion hero, but you benefit more from the status res and the potential lifesteal amp if you ever get like some lifesteal item on him. So yeah. You get SNY over Manta unless you really need it as well. But just keep in mind nowadays you can also get Dispel after you get your SNY using getting a Satanic. So you know, Manta is is like the least appealing it has been in a while for Terrorblade. At least in my opinion. So again, once you push a lane, go jungle, let your illusion do all of the work, right? Let it take all of the ganks. And the thing is, when you sell illusions, not only does it mean that you're safer, it also means that the opponent is less inclined to go here because all they're killing is an illusion and creeps, right? But if you're here, but if you're actually there, they're probably gonna rotate 2 or 3 heroes just to kill you. So you know, it does keep you safe from dying. But it also means they don't fuck with your illusions too much. So yeah. Obviously Vampire is a really good item on Terrorblade. Probably my favorite item still has to be Paladin Sword. Just because it lets you not get away with not getting Satanic. shoved out the lane, you've stayed too long bot, and you TP top. Once you've stayed too long top, TP bot, and then just farm what you can in the jungle, but most of the time your illusions will be doing most the heavy lifting and actually pushing out waves, endangering themselves because they're very expendable.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
This is gonna be like the typical crap of a Terrorblade. Just so you know, Terrorblade likes to farm a lot and he can farm really quickly, but it does not mean he can't fight. When his meta is up, he's one of the strongest team fighting carries early. There will be some exceptions, especially like he's particularly weak to if he's particularly weak to a certain kind of heroes like Lashrak or PL, he might not be able to fight like he normally would, but barring those exceptional circumstances, I think Terrorblade really is one of the better team fighting carries. Even in the early
I like
game.
how you have like more than double the CS of the AM.
Yeah. But that's the thing about Terrorblade. Like, AM can't beat you at any stage of the game. If you lane against him, you destroy him. Like, if you're good, at least. And, in the mid game, you can keep up with his farm, if not out farm him anyway. And even if he does get farm, like, farm for farm, you're going to beat him in every in game. Because you do purely physical damage. And he has no natural resistance. Again, I'm just running in a fight, kill who I can. This Invoker fucks up, I remember this. He goes invis, but he breaks it for some reason. But whether or not he got the kill there, it doesn't matter. It's just kind of like helping your team out. You know, letting them know that they aren't just 4v5ing the entire time. You get a couple kills, which is nice. And I only do this play, by the way, we walk into the jungle, because Lina and Invoker are dead. Like, you do not want to walk into the enemy jungle farming aggressively. You can send your illusions here if you want, but you generally don't do this. This is like a hyper greedy and aggressive move. It only got away when they were dead. And the moment they become alive, I'm getting out. So that was kind of lucky we had a DD. Honestly, I'm not sure if this was a good play or not because we didn't have meta. So if they decided to fight us here, they could have probably done something about it. But I did have 500 damage and I felt like they were good fighting. So it was okay. I could get the Aegis. I didn't want Terrorblade, yes, the silencer wasn't doing great, save. But Terrorblade really doesn't like Aegis. That's true of almost every transformation hero, because like if you die with this transformation on, you're still not, when you come back to life it's done, and if you rely on it to fight like Terrorblade does, it does not, you know, it does not actually, it doesn't carry over, and so it's kind of wasted. It's basically just so you don't die and you don't lose gold. That's the only time you carry Aegis. But generally if there's another hero that even if they die they can respawn and continue fighting just as effectively as they did before, they'd be better Aegis carriers. So the Terrorblade, probably give it up to your mid, sometimes you need to off lane. So yeah. I guess I should talk about the item build again this game. So normally SNY Eye of Skadi is basically a really good item at dealing with Brewmaster summons because you can slow them down and kill them relatively quickly. It's just generally a nice item to tank up. Like, you can basically buy this every game and you really won't feel bad about doing it. Against an AA, I got it because like you can't heal through that shit, so you need to have a lot of HP. And again, it's pretty good against Lina. It's okay against AM, but yeah, Butterfly was another item because I just felt like I needed more damage. Honestly, like I just wanted to be able to hit them harder. I knew Lina had nukes, but at this point you have enough HP that you're not gonna get nuked by any one single spell. Like they're either gonna have to chain 4 or 5 heroes, 3 or 4 hero spells on you before you'll just get bursted and not be able to sunder anybody. So yeah, this is the kind of build I went for. Butterfly is generally something you don't get on Terrorblade though, just because it's kind of redundant. But again, this game I would much prefer getting like a Satanic or something. But again, isn't a. I wasn't sure how well I could dodge his OP, so I wanted to go for something that could actually help. Now, so here, watch this. So this is a kind of bad, really bad play by AM. But like I was like at this point, Banana was screaming like a little girl, and then he's and telling him to run towards me. And then yeah, AM just blinks towards him to secure the kill. And in the time that it takes him to blink out, he's already dead. This is part of like that area denial thing I was talking about. Like AM cannot be here. Like if he had just walked to the tiny and killed him, he would have been able to blink out and been fine. But because he went greedy and blinked towards me for that, typically AMs will die if they blink anywhere near you. Similar with a Slark. Like they can only stand in your like attack range for maybe 4 seconds and then they're gonna die if they don't get out. So you don't necessarily to deal with mobility heroes, you don't necessarily need to get mobility like lockdown on yourself. You could consider just getting more damage. Let's like look at this. Like, something I've always been preaching. When the opponents will run away, their buildings cannot. So if they decide to blink out here, they're just going to lose tower after tower. So I still had part of my own. So I commit. You can put towers with once if you have your meta. Once it's gone though, the 14. I was happy with that already, and I was like, okay, it's a good meta usage. Another thing you can do as a Terrorblade, although you see it later on, but yeah, continue shoving lanes to towers.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Basically, if you stay in the opponent's jungle, you can send your illusions here to the top lane and to their mid lane, and basically kill it. It's called cutting waves, and then it locks them in their base because these two camps, these two waves will always be here. It's very difficult for the opponent to get out of their base. Additionally, it forces them to stay in their base, which means it's much less likely that they have time to gank you. Or if they do try to gank you, it's very obvious that they're what they're doing. Again, on Terrorblade, against these high mobility heroes, I don't really want to get I don't get a Basher, or I don't get a Atos. I think most Terrorblades really shouldn't, right? You can just consider more damage items. And then you'll see why in the next fight actually.
Dire's bottom tower. Dire's bottom tower.
Again, oops. So you're farming mid, and then you can send
Dire's bottom tower is under siege.
to the top lane. Cutting creep waves, like the AM split pushing, and I was telling Tiny to make him fuck off, so just go there and stun him. They didn't get to do it, but it's okay. Because AM can't push either, because I'm just summoning illusions and cutting waves. So, like, he's never able to split push effectively, because I'm always cutting waves right outside his base. So at best, he can prevent our creeps from hitting his tower, but he can't really get his creeps to hit our towers. So, just cutting wave after wave, sending them back, and then this is what I call like the mop-up TP, where like when you're preparing for a big fight, you want to make sure all of your lanes are shoved into the opponent's side so they can't split push you. So here I was like, guys, I'll TP bottom. I will push this out and then I will rejoin my team. Okay. We've already kept mid and top shoved. So AM is not going to be able to split push us there anytime soon. He's gonna need like a minute 30 seconds to split push these waves at best. So what I'm worried about is bottom lane where he's gonna take a tower. Which I guess it doesn't matter too much because again it's a tier 1 tower 30 minutes into the game, but I wanted to give him nothing. So I made it clear to my team that I TP'd back and they should back up, so they retreat to the triangle where they have good vision. They take a fight, they start dying, but I don't think it matters. So let's play that at like one time speed.
Game? ParAdisE.
Yeah, this
Is
was
it
the
that game that
used-
I was in there?
Yeah, you were here. Okay, so basically, they got caught with the copy died. It's okay. People start
Yeah, I remember this game.
I got stunned by the Brewmaster, which was really good. But look how quickly his summons now. Right? Like he can't even with his Brewmaster summons, he can't actually stay in lane very long, so he will die eventually. So just watch, just walk up your illusions up the high ground. Notice you kind of want to space them from your hero, especially for stuff like light strike away.
Dire structures have been fortified.
Here, just trying to push
I didn't have to. Oh, it's not active.
AM just dies. Like if he doesn't blink away, like he keeps going for the tiny here. But because I have this much damage, he's not able to actually survive long enough to kill the tiny and get out. And so this is how you deal with it. So now if they're running away, sure, I can't stop them, sure, but the buildings can't run away. And I'm still hitting their buildings. I think though when they respawn, because most of my team died, I just back up. But I can continue to commit my illusions here. And you can watch, like this Brewmaster actually can't kill them.
Dire's bottom tower has
Your
not
illusion
killing
is strong.
He's not killing them. Like he's getting kicked out by the illusions. So.
Oh, they're mad. They want you to end.
Oh yeah, well I mute the opponent team, so I don't actually know they want me to end. But,
No, the enemy, not you.
yeah, I know. The opponent team was complaining. Yeah, I didn't know that at the time. Oh, by the way, this Ag Shard I think is actually really good in Terrorblade. It gives you 50 move speed and 50 attack speed. Especially when you're out of slots like this. It's 1,400 gold and all it costs you is 20% HP of your HP. And that's really not much. Especially if you have any kind of lifesteal. Because that's like one hit and you're back to full HP. So this Demon Zeal is like an insanely good spell. I'm probably gonna experiment like getting it earlier. Because I think it's a really good farming spell. Costs 0 mana, 1,400 gold. And when you are in melee form, you get 100 move speed and 100 attack speed for 7 seconds. Honestly, that sounds insane. But yeah, like once you have any kind of HP sustain at all, I was lucky enough to get the power.
Mad.
You can just press down. They can try to fight, so they're making that move. Like most of my attacks haven't even landed on because of how you see that how many like, stars there are on the ground. Like, just show up.
Like Lena.
Yeah. Honestly, I think he died here.
Yeah, I remember you. Or someone died. I remember I played COD this game.
Yeah, I think that basically sums it up, like how Terrorblade works as a whole. And like this is an ideal game for Terrorblade, to be sure. But honestly, there are like very specialized skills in Terrorblade that if you're able to master, I kept getting TP'd home by this trolling Cottle.
Dire's middle tower has fallen. Been destroyed.
Anyway, doesn't matter. We already won the game. It was Megas the opponents gave up. But yeah, generally, good Terrorblade games are ones where you're able to use your meta. Right, you aren't completely hard countered, and you're able to consistently get your farm, and then you send your illusions out to farm enemy jungle camps to push lanes. Like if you don't die at all, it's a really good Terrorblade game, obviously. But that's true for most heroes, but Terrorblade especially. Like I feel like he's really engineered to be one of those carries that never dies because of how he works. So, a good game for him means that he never dies. Some other carries you can trade your life. Terrorblade, not really. Are there any questions about that, Cabbage?
I thought like in that game I would think to like get a BKB. Why did you just not get one because you were so far ahead?
Yeah, generally you can consider not getting one if you're very far ahead. Also, I just didn't feel like there was much nuke threat. Like it was Lena, right? Her stun.
Yeah, but that's what I would be afraid of. I'd be afraid of like getting disarmed by the what's his name, Invoker, then Cold Snap and Bruce Stone and Lena Stone.
Well, I was kind of I was so far ahead that I was confident I could tank up enough that even after they've thrown their spells, I'm not dead, and it's just gonna take like a couple of hits for them to die. So yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The biggest reason you got BKB is if you're worried about getting bursted.
Yeah.
If you're not worried about getting bursted, Satanic and generally damage items are better because they will provide you more benefits over the entire
Yeah.
duration of your meta.
I don't think you use Sunder that game at all.
I never had to.
Yeah.
They never brought me low enough to need it. I used it on
Right.
my Kotl once to farm, but
Yeah, I can see though. It's the your sort of it's that early learning stage that makes a massive difference. And then you're it's not easy. You're not looking for fights. You're just farming, and then if fights happen around you, you kill people. It's like you said, you zone people out of areas of the map. If they come to you, they die.
yeah, exactly. Areas of the fight specifically. Areas of the map you don't really zone as
No.
much. But yeah, areas of fights, you have your meta up, and nobody can like just go on your team without worrying about how are they gonna survive like 4 or 5 seconds with you, right?
Yeah.
Because that's all you need.
Yeah, because I think with like I keep saying Drow. I know they're not that similar, but like I think with Drow you have to be a lot more like careful with your positioning because if you get jumped, you're gonna die. Where TB, you can tank a lot through a lot of stuff.
It really depends on the hero composition. Like this game, I wasn't so worried about getting jumped, but stuff like RP, um, Enigma Black Hole, those kinds of stuff, I'm a lot more worried about.
Okay.
And if they have like big team fight ults that can chain, that's like the
Yeah.
worst TB's worst nightmare, because then it's really hard to not, if you don't get bursted, you do amazing work as a TB, and if you do
Yeah.
get bursted, it's just you're relatively easy to burst because your HP is low. So any item that can give you HP is definitely much appreciated. Anything that prevents you from getting chain stunned is much appreciated. So you can look at Dragonlance as a way to avoid getting stunned, just because it keeps you further away. A lot like it will take you out from the cusp of from the cusp of your opponents being able to land spells on you, like stuns, like me in the Light Strike Array, to them having to walk like 2 seconds into your illusions wailing on them before they can actually do anything. And that makes a
Yeah.
big difference in making your safety bubble.
Yeah.
SNY obviously it reduces the stun duration. Scotty, HP, right? And Daedal is something really good to consider against slippery heroes that just run away.
Yeah.
Slarks, yeah, you could consider it against Slark, AM, PA, well, not PA because you would prefer an MKB, but everybody else, yeah, you just blow them up way faster than they can deal with, and they can just never approach your team or do anything because they can either get in or get out, and they can't do both, and they'll die for it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you. Thanks for that.
and no other questions.
Practice TV.
Yeah, he's quite good fun. Oh shit, sorry, I forgot. So one thing about Terrorblade that I think is gonna be like result in a big quantum leap in like how you micro him. Okay, is this little key on your keyboard called tab. I honestly think it's like if you don't do this, it's so much harder to control TV. Because people like fuck around with control groups and they're like, oh, this should be X, and then the next one should be
I'd get ready
C,
if I were
right,
you.
or whatever. But it's really hard on Terrorblade because you have two illusions and they don't spawn at the same time. So what I really like doing on Terrorblade, okay, is just tab. So like, I'm just gonna
So do you select all with your like number 2 or number 3 and then tab through them?
you don't need to select all of them to tab through them. You tab regardless. But like
Or if you tab without selecting, even if you just press tab, you go through your other units.
so look,
Oh, I
I'm
didn't
gonna do
know
it.
that. I
So
think
it
you have to
says
have them
W,
selected.
then I press tab, and then my newest illusion is created, and then I just do a click here, then
Right.
a click
Yeah.
here, then a click to this jungle camp, and this
No, is that shift A click?
shift a click like after but like if you just want to send it down a lane, all you have to do is put them in the
Just
lane,
A click.
a click,
Yeah.
a click at
Yeah.
the general direction of the throne, and then he'll just go and farm. Obviously he's level 1, so he doesn't do shit, but
Yeah.
higher
Yeah.
levels. So it's W, then tab, then A, then A, then A. And then you W, then tab, then A, then A, then A. And then
Right. Right. Yeah.
basically if you're able to, it's a very specific skill. Like it's not going to improve your overall Dota, right? But if you're able to do this, you're going to be able to farm very efficiently. And apply a lot of map pressure.
Because once you sort of center, you can just forget about them. You don't have to worry about them.
Well, I mean, once you get better at it, you kind of mind them anyway. Like
Oh,
sometimes
okay.
what you can do is, like while I'm jungling, I'm worrying about my illusion here. Like say I'm just hitting creeps here. Like I don't need my attention to do that. I could just be focusing on getting every last hit. Again, it's deal 15 damage. So, but yeah, like once you have the higher levels. Like with something like this, and I could be jungling a scamp here, and then I mind this illusion more. And I try to get the last hits where I can. Even try to get denies. It's like you don't. This one doesn't need your attention. You're just auto attacking creeps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that could be like advanced stuff, or like I don't know if you saw that earlier, but basically it was hitting creeps on their tower. So I microed it like to be behind their tower so that the illusion wouldn't die, and I killed the entire wave with that one creep. Oh, with that one summon, and those are like the advanced stuff. But even just being able to tab and then A-click down a lane is already like a massive quantum leap in like being able to play Terrorblade effectively. Because I think for low MMR Terrorblades, what they're gonna do is they're just gonna summon illusions and then they're just gonna use it as a damage amp on Terrorblade. So they'll form the exact same camps, they'll push the exact same waves, but they'll just do it with a bit more, like double the damage. Right? Which is, it's not absolutely terrible, but like you could do better. You could do better. It just lets you farm a little bit faster. And if you random Terrorblade, I recommend you do that. Have a hot. You definitely need. Let's say hotkeys. You definitely need. Hotkey to select hero. Mine is F1. Hotkey to select all units, but the hero. Mine is F2. And then there has to be a hotkey to select all units. So that lets you do stuff like, let's say I'm meta, then I can clump up my illusions here, hit the tower, and then I'm over here hitting the tower. Right, or if suddenly I just want to hit them, hit all the same thing, I can unify, I can control them all at once to like stack up their damage together.
What was the setting in game for when you make your illusions attack at the same time as you?
There is no setting. It's just
Yeah,
they have the same attack speed and base attack time. So
No. I mean, because when I was playing Enchantress, you told me to change my setting to so the creep attacks like the same as me.
Okay, that was this one. So that's options. Like for me, I like having auto attack set to never, and then you have your hotkeys. I have a hotkey for toggling auto attack. Toggle auto attack. So I just press 6 like, after the laning phase, and then suddenly they're all auto attack again. It gets turned off again if you DC. So again, you only have to press it a couple of times per game, but that does happen. Okay. So what happens is you can also have your options, hotkeys, summoned your options, advanced options, summoned unit auto attack. I have it same as hero, so that it's relatively easy because like the problem is if your auto attack is on your main hero and your summons, like you're just gonna look at this. I have to actively move back, or like the moment I lose concentration for a second, these guys just run back. Right?
Yeah.
And that's really annoying, and it really messes up our assets. So I have to do this every time, or yes, it's really annoying to have that. If your hero doesn't have auto attack on, but the illusions do, then honestly it's gonna mess you up even more. So I personally believe Toggle auto attack coupled with summon unit auto attack being the same as the hero is the best way to micro. The only micro here I don't play is Visage and Meepo, but I think they're still the same. But, yeah.
The enemy's
So
middle tower
definitely I
has
want
been
summon unit auto attack to be the same. It's particularly important if your heroes that you need your summons to help you last hit. Less so if you don't actually use them in the release stage. So in Visage it's probably less important. Meepo, it's semi-important, and like on Lone Druid, on Terrorblade, it's very, very important. Yeah. Any other questions? Even if it's not cabbage? No, I mean, if you want to ask another one, go ahead. I'm just saying if there's anyone else with any other questions.
No, I can't think of anything. I think I need to play some games and then figure out some things for myself and then ask.
Alright, great. I think that could conclude our coaching session. So, yeah, see you guys around.